Assalamu alaikum everyone, and welcome to our Q&A with Shaykh Akram Nadwi. Apologies for the slight delay, we just had some technical problems, but everything seems to be fine now. This Q&A will be every Thursday at 6 p.m. BST. I hope you can all join us every week, inshallah. It will be just 30 minutes long. If anyone has any questions, please just put them in the comments of the live stream on whichever platform you're watching, inshallah. Without any further ado, let's start with the first question, Shaykh. And this question is, if all Muslims are weak and not obeying Allah, why is it that Palestinians are suffering? What should their action be in this current situation? And then they quoted a specific verse, which is وَمَا أَصَابَكُم مِّن مُّصِيبَةٍ فَبِمَا كَسَبَتْ أَيْدِيكُمْ وَيَعْفُو عَن كَثِيرٍ. Is this verse applicable to Muslims in these times?
Okay, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. First, we should understand really the wisdom behind the sufferings and trials mentioned in the Quran. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants people, when they die with good qualities. And good qualities only can be known when people are tested. So sometimes people are tested with the favors, something good happened to them. If those favors don't make people arrogant, they remained humble and they thank Allah, they do kindness to his slaves, so then they pass the test of these favors. Sometimes people are tested by trials, by suffering, by problems. In those problems, what they need to learn actually is to improve their condition, improve their relation to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and to be patient, not to complain, because the sabr is one of the qualities Allah wants people to create before they die. And in the command of the sabr is so much in the Quran, to all the prophets and all the messengers all the time, be patient, isbir, do sabr. It is mentioned in the Quran, in so many places. So similarly, Muslims in the world, everybody is tested. Individuals are tested, nations are tested, so sometimes suffering will be for an individual. Somebody's got illness, very severe illness, a child is paralyzed or something like that. He's being tested, but also the people around him are tested. So test is for everybody, how his parents behave, how the people around behave, how they help him, everybody tested. So what is happening now in Palestine, it is a test, not now, it will start for a long time ago, test for the all Muslim Ummah and test for all mankind, that, do people actually follow justice, fairness in these problems, or they don't follow. So everybody is being tested, and there are, most people are failing. So non-Muslims are failing, Muslims are failing, Muslim states are failing, and many Palestinians also may be failing, because if they don't, do sabr properly, if they start accusing Allah, they start blaming him, so they fail. But if they are patient and they think, there must have done some mistakes, and they're humble, when people realize they have done some mistakes, it makes them humble. So they become humble and they are turn to Allah, and they learn from the mistakes and improve their condition. They pass the test. So whenever a trial happens to any nation, not only that nation is being tested, everybody else is being tested. We are tested as well. How we can help Palestinians, and also not only that, really, how can we improve our conditions? Because what happened to Palestine now, it will happen to other nations as well. Muslims don't have only problem in Palestine; they have problems in Afghanistan for a long, long time. The problems in Afghanistan also is really more than 40-year-old. And Muslims have problem in Burma, Muslims have problem in India, Muslims have problem in many African countries, Muslims have problem in Middle East. The problems everywhere. And Muslims have problem in the West as well. So everywhere people are being tested. So we have to understand, learn properly that, what is the Allah's command in these times, trial for everybody. So, not only that we help Palestinians, we also need to help people around us. We need to improve our iman, our faith, and teach people around us. There are so many Muslims in UK, they don't pray, don't obey their Lord, and their family, they have so many family problems. The relation between husband and wife, it all problem. If they don't look actually only the problem in the world is the Palestinian problem. People have problem in their houses. The people, these problems are so severe. Many people commit suicide, in the West. Anyway, the summary of the matter is that whenever a problem happens, people are being tested. They have to be humble, they have to be patient, and they have to learn from the mistakes, turn to their Lord, ask forgiveness. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, forgives very easily, very quickly, but we have to be humble. Yeah.
Sheikh, actually, we have another question that's kind of linked to this. And this question is from Sister Tapashi Tabassum, and she says, Assalamu alaikum. My question is it mandatory for the Muslims to conquer Jerusalem every time its control is taken over by non-Muslims?
Thing is, conquering and all these things are another matter. But the problem really is Muslims need to learn how to behave in the time of the weakness. It's very important to learn really. In all the time to look for the worldly glory, it doesn't help people. Then people become really all the time suffering. Just keep talking. Like Muslims now talking for 200 years how to get the glory back, how to get the Khilafah, how to get a state. But they are not doing what they're supposed to do. Just read the stories of the prophets in the Quran. Those prophets were sent in during the time of Roman occupation of Palestine. Palestine used to belong to Jews. They have been ruling that, and then Romans they took over Palestine. After Roman have took over Palestine, and Jews became minority and they became very weak. The Jews got many prophets in that in those days. One of them is Zakaria alayhi salam, Yahya alayhi salam, Isa alayhi salam, Maryam alayhi salam. The many prophets came those time. Look in the biography, what they're teaching. Are they teaching people to take the glory back? How to liberate Jerusalem? How to liberate the mosque? What they're teaching really? They're teaching the right quality that they teach people how to pray, how to obey Allah, how to become good believer. So in the time of the weakness, the first thing Allah wants people really is that how they do slavery in the weakness. If they don't have glory, do they still obey me? Do they still love me? To still actually listen to me? Or they just keep looking for the glory? How to get the glory back? So that's what Muslims need to learn really. The real thing is not that you learn how to take your glory back. The real thing is to learn really how to behave in this condition. You had glory, then you lost it. So there must be a reason. Muslims had Khilafah, then they lost it. They had Jerusalem, then they lost it. So then think really that if you had something, you lost. So I think to take back, there must be a reason why you lost it. So first address those reasons. Improve your condition. If you just keep talking, nothing will happen. Muslims lost Jerusalem in the time, 5th century of Hijrah, and when Crusaders came. But, they prepared, they learn from the mistakes until Salahuddin Ayyubi comes and he prepares and he goes, and make effort. Even then, actually, he could not get all the territory back. He got Jerusalem, but still he has to make a, treaty with the Crusaders. Crusaders still occupied some land and he accepted that. And actually, soon after his death, his children started making peace with the Crusaders and become very bad, really. So problem really is not to take any country back or conquer any country. The problem that Allah wants really is to improve your condition, to conquer your ego, to conquer your desire, to become obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That we don't want to do. We just want glory back. So Allah's way never has been like that. No messenger, no prophet came to deliver the Muslims glory. All the prophets came to teach people how to improve their condition, how they become good and pious Muslims. We need to learn how to live sensibly in the time of the weakness.
Let's take the next question, inshallah, from Brother Shovon Kaiser, and he says, we know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has chosen Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam as the father of the Muslim nation. Then why did prophets and the people of Bani Israel not come to Mecca for performing Hajj with Bani Ismail?
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has, for a reason, made for Ibrahim two families. One settled in the, main holy land around Jerusalem and that part, the cities, and there Allah gave so much favor upon them. And then he made one son, Ismail, to settle in the desert, in the mountain where there's nothing, no product, no agriculture, nothing grows there, to remain on the true nature. Why did he do this? Because if you read this in the Quran, you can see the time of the Nuh alayhi salam, the people, how bad they have been, and Nuh alayhi salam have been working 950 years to improve them, to reform them, but they did not listen. Then the flood came and the whole people have been destroyed. So Allah wanted next time to keep two families. So if one actually does not behave properly and there's no hope for them to come to the obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then he can do favor to the other nations and then come back. So two families have been kept. One is family of Ishaq and one is family of Ismail alayhi salam. Ismail's family kept in the desert because people in the desert, they remain on the good qualities. Cities corrupt people. So Ismail's family remain on the good nature, on the truth, bravery, generosity, helping, kindness. These qualities became very helpful when new religion came, when Islam came. People who were with the Ishaq al-Islam and his family, they knew the story of Kaaba. Certainly, they knew the story of the Kaaba, and Kaaba is very important for them. Maybe many of them came for Hajj. We don't know the details, but at least one thing is very clear, that they used to do major sacrifices in the direction of the Kaaba. There was no Masjid Aqsa, there was no temple until Sulaiman Islam comes and he built. Before that, Jews used to be in the tents. So wherever they used to live, they used to they used to have a small prayer rooms or something like that. They have to make it face the Kaaba, and especially for the sacrifices. So Kaaba always have been important in the life of the Jews. Even now, really, in the Bible, there are clear verses which command them to sacrifice in the direction of the Kaaba, though they interpret differently, but the commands are still there. If you want to read, on this matter, the best book is written by Maulana Hamiduddin Farahi. His book is Ar-Ra'yu Sahih fi Man Huwa Dhabih. I think the book must have been translated to English. So find out about the book, read it. It will help you to understand that how the Kaaba has been important and central place for all the family of Ibrahim, not only for Bani Ismail, even for the family of Israel.
Okay, inshallah, let's go to the next question. And this question is from Ali Bukhari. He says, would the concept of a dhimmi and jizya apply in the modern world if an Islamic state was to be formed?
It actually applies all the time. Don't you see what other nations do? So, like for example, if you live in this country, in England, what do you need to do? Dhimma means protection. So they protect all the citizens. So if for the exchange of the protection, what the people do, they pay taxes, and those taxes are spent on the army, on the defense, on the education, or anything that can help people. They are spent. So people give something, and then the state gives something. So similarly, in Muslim rule, non-Muslims live there; they are protected. So if anybody attack them or anything like that, they're protected. They can do their business properly. They can live properly, peacefully. In order to help, what they do, they pay taxes. Uh, People can ask why Muslims don't pay taxes. The reason Muslims don't pay taxes is because Muslims have to pay zakat. Zakat actually is much more than taxes. Some Muslims also have to pay taxes, but zakat is much more than that. Second thing is Muslims, it is obligatory on Muslims to defend non-Muslims. And non-Muslims are not obliged to fight. So non-Muslims are exempted from the war, and war is only obligatory on the Muslims. The Muslims have to fight, so they have to be paid. So these taxes could be spent on the Muslim army, and Muslims themselves, pay. So the reason that Islam has got these special taxes on non-Muslims is because they are exempted from the war. They are not going to fight, so they are defended, they are protected, they have got all the rights, but it is not obligatory upon them to defend Muslim land. But it's obligatory on the Muslims to defend the Muslim land and defend all the citizens, including the non-Muslims. So that's why these taxes are there. But taxes actually are not limited only to non-Muslims. I explained to you that, for example, zakat, non-Muslims don't pay zakat, but Muslims have to pay zakat, and part of zakat income goes to serve these causes. And sometimes Muslims also have to pay extra taxes, when the need comes.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. Let's take the next question, inshallah. Just having a look. Okay, let's take this next question from Sister Mariam. She says, is it necessary for a husband to take permission from his first wife before his second marriage?
The thing is, if people understand the law of the marriage, in Islam, what marriage means is the man had to provide accommodation and expenses on his wife. So if he marries a wife, he has to provide her an independent accommodation, where she lives alone, not with her in-laws, not with her parents, alone, house independently for her, where nobody can enter without her permission. She is eligible for all the expenses, the food, the clothes, medical treatment, many of these things, she's entitled. So if a husband, gives this to a wife, he can marry her a woman. If can provide for two women, he can marry two women. So there's no need for him to ask the wife, because wife is not going to do anything. She's not going to help him. She's not going to pay anything. He has to spend. But it is good for him to consult her, because certainly it is his life. He does not want to create problem, but it is not obligatory, because at the end of the day he has to manage. If he cannot manage, then he's not allowed to marry. So marriage not, people say marriage must be enjoyment. Not enjoyment. Marriage actually is a big obligation. It is really nobility. To look after a woman or two women. If people have two wives, three women, it is noble character. It's not something easy. To provide somebody shelter, accommodation, expenses, all those things, and keep working hard. So if a man works, all the time, and he looks after one family, imagine really if somebody looks after two families, how much he has to work. It is really very, very tough for a person. If you find that somebody has got two wives and provide accommodation equally for both of them expenses, you should praise him. You should appreciate it, because this man is a noble man. At least he helped two women. There are so many people not married these days. So if there are some people like that who are generous and good characters, and they can marry two women or something like that, so at least some people get married, they get accommodation, expenses, in a good future, living with good people. So there's no reason, in Islam, for a man to ask his wife. What he needs to do is to provide accommodation, expenses equally and fairly to both of them. If it's unfair, yeah, then it is problem.
Okay, let's take the next question, inshallah. How do I make my marriage to a non-Muslim valid? If a few years down the line I came back to Allah and realized that this was not the right thing to do, do I stay in the marriage and do da'wah hoping they will convert, or divorce? Also, is it considered adultery what I did, and if I continue to stay in the marriage?
Think who's asking question, the man or woman? The person who asked the question
I can't see at the moment, but I think it's a
married
man.
to a non-Muslim woman, or is she a woman married to a non-Muslim man, and were they married before Islam, then she became Muslim? Because all these differs, the ruling. If a man is married to Christian woman, then there's no problem anyway in Islam. And if a woman is married, to Christian, she was a Christian, now she became Muslim, then there will be another answer. So first, people have to make clear who is married to who.
I think also in this context, this question, he has not had his nikah.
No, I'm thinking they were married before they became Muslim, or what happened? The woman, is it question from a woman or from a man? First thing, this I should know.
I think the questioner is a male.
From who?
A male, he's a man.
A male. And so he was married to non-Muslim woman, and then he became Muslim. Both were non-Muslims.
No, so he was Muslim, but he wasn't practicing. After a few years, he became practicing.
Okay. This non-Muslim woman, is she a Christian or Jew, or she's a Hindu or pagan or something?
Unfortunately, we don't have the details.
If she's a Christian or Jew, then there's no problem, because in Islamic law, it allowed for a Muslim man to marry Christian or Jew. If he was married to a Christian or Jew, and then no problem, he still can keep her, because it's allowed in Islam.
Okay, inshallah. I think maybe if we find out more details, we can
if they
ask the question.
Clearly, then I can answer. Yeah.
Okay, let's take the next question, inshallah. Veganism is becoming popular slowly. This is a fragile matter where the love of animals, their right to live, etc. is highlighted. What is the Islamic stance and how do we deal with this?
You know, not certainly Islam actually, respects all the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you look in Muslim history, they are the first people they made, hospitals for the animals and, all those things. Not only that, they even made endowments for the animals. Salahuddin Ayyubi and his family, they made huge endowments for the animals. So then animals can be looked after and all those things. So respect for everybody is fine. But at the same time, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has commanded, allowed people, certain things, and Allah is the master and is the owner, is the creator. If he allows something, nobody can stop. It is his creation. So he has allowed people to eat certain animals, respect them, and, at the same time, they can, eat them, if they slaughter properly, that is allowed. Uh, if people think, there's a life and how we are supposed to take life, yeah, you are not supposed to take life, but you take life in the name of Allah. That's why you have to say Bismillah, Allahu Akbar, in the name of Allah. Without Allah's name, you can't take it. Allah's creation, so He can allow, and if you own animal, you can take. Otherwise, what will happen really is, if people keep making, this thing, then, there are people who eat fish. Somebody can say fish is also an animal, they also have life. Actually, some people even think, even the vegetables have life, and eggs have life, and this have life, that have life. People even don't know how to define the life. So it will keep create all the problem. So who have to decide what we can eat and what cannot we eat? It's not us, really. It is the one who made this thing, the creator. The creator, the master. If the creator, the master says something, that we have to respect. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has allowed people to eat certain animals. If they are lawful, so we can eat them, but respect them at the same time. Don't be cruel in treating the animals. Respect them and eat them in the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. To make veganism as a philosophy, it's very bad really, because it goes against the teachings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If somebody has a habit, they don't eat animals for some reason, that's allowed, but they are not allowed to just make it like a philosophy and follow. It is against Islam, because Islam allows people to eat animal. Yeah.
Okay, we'll take one more question, inshallah, and we'll wrap it up. This question is from Sister Farhana, and she says, how do we understand the verses in Surah Al-Isra where Allah says that He decreed for the children of Israel that they will do mischief on earth twice and will become tyrants and extremely arrogant? And when the second promise comes to pass, Allah will make His servants enter the mosque as they had entered it before, with utter destruction. Has this second time happened already, or is it yet to come?
The story that I mentioned in the Quran, that already has happened. That the two stories happened in the past, in the life of the Jews, and they were basically destroyed, and all this thing happened. I did teach in Al-Salam the whole Surah Al-Isra, 2 or 3 sessions. The best thing is, if you can just listen to all those recordings, in that I explained the meanings of the verses, and also explained the wrong ideas that people have got about these verses, how they misinterpret them, because people are very keen to apply the verses of the Quran to their own time, to their own science, their own knowledge. This is not right. It is the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I made very clear. If you look in the book, it is very clear. It is past, nothing to do with the future. It is very, very clearly mentioned in the book, in the Quran. So read it and listen to this recording. It will help you. But certainly there are many hadith that tells that time will come when Jews will be wrongly occupying Palestine, and certainly Muslims will be fighting them, and at the end of the day, the victory will come for Muslims. After long suffering, it will come. So that is mentioned in the hadith, but not mentioned in the Quran.
Okay, inshallah, I think we will end it there. Jazakallah khair, Shaykh, for your time, and Jazakumullah khair and everyone else for joining us. Inshallah, the next Q&A will be next week, Thursday, 6 p.m, again on our Facebook and YouTube, inshallah. Just a quick announcement, Shaykh Akram is holding a one-day course on Umar ibn Abdul Aziz. This course will be on the 6th of June. It's a one-day course. It's only £25 and the early bird discount is ending tomorrow, inshallah. I highly recommend you guys check it out. If you can just check the link on the screen, inshallah. This course is based on the book Saviors of Islamic Spirit by Shaykh Abul Hasan Ali Nadwi. And it will be focusing on one of the most prominent figures in Islamic history, Umar ibn Abdul Aziz, the great-grandson of the second Caliph, Umar ibn al-Khattab. Jazakallah khair everyone for joining us. And please, if you have any questions we didn't address, please join us next week, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.